So perhaps you've already upgraded from your stock mouthpiece to something like a Yamaha 4C, but now you're ready for something a little bit more professional. You want to get a better sound on your saxophone, but which one do you go for? Which mouthpiece that's less than $200? It's a really, really good question, and it's something that I've been asked all the time. In fact, I just got asked this week that exact question by Julie from our Sax School membership community. So I thought today it might be fun to look at the Yamaha 4C and compare it to two fantastic choices that are both under $200. We're going to look at the Meyer 5M, and we're also going to look at the Jody Jazz HR Star. They're both cracking mouthpieces, but which one's right for you? Well, today I'm going to be playing the Yamaha 4C and also playing the Meyer and the HR Star, so you can compare how they all sound. And we're also going to be talking about the differences to help make that decision a bit better. Oh, and I've also got two other mouthpieces from my collection that are also under $200 that you might want to consider. So lots to talk about today. Let's get stuck in. It is really tricky to work out which mouthpiece is right for you. And by the way, I just wanted to point out that all the mouthpieces today I bought with my own money. I just want to make this process easier for you. I know it's difficult, right? If you aren't able to go to a music shop and actually try these mouthpieces yourself, how do you know which one's right? So hopefully this video is going to help you. I know it's definitely going to help my students over at Sax School. So let's start by talking about the Yamaha 4C. Now this is a fantastic upgrade mouthpiece. If you have a stock mouthpiece that comes with your saxophone, I always recommend that you upgrade to the 4C first. And by the way, if you want some more tips about this mouthpiece, check out my video where I explain why it's a good upgrade option. So the Yamaha 4C is pretty cheap. I actually managed to find it online for about $26 or £34. Go figure. It's more in pounds than dollars at the moment. Mad. What I love about this mouthpiece though is it's very, very consistent. So wherever you buy this mouthpiece anywhere in the world, it's always going to sound great and it's always going to be easy to play. And certainly for beginners, it's good because the shape internally means that you don't need a lot of air to get a really nice sound. So even if you're pretty new to saxophone, you'll be able to get a good modern sound. So it's got quite a small chamber. It's got quite an easy tip opening. And by the way, I'm using the same reed, ligature and saxophone for all the demos today. So I'm using a Leger Signature 2.5 reed. The ligature is actually the one that came with the Meyer when I bought it the other day. And I've got my trusty Yamaha 62 purple logo that I've had about 30 years that I'll be playing today. Right, let's have a listen to what the Yamaha 4C sounds like. So what do you think about the Yamaha 4C? Let me know in a comment. When you hear it in isolation like that and actually listening back, yeah, I mean, it sounds okay. I'm a bit annoyed I didn't get that high D up there. But here's the thing about this mouthpiece. Like I said before, it's got a small chamber, which makes it easy to play. And that means you can easily get a decent sound out of it, but it also holds you back. So the thing I like about it is it's easy to play. The thing I don't like about it is it's very restrictive with how many different colors you can get out of the mouthpiece. I do want to get that high D out though. Yes! Okay, it sounds okay, but this is a beginner mouthpiece. This isn't an advanced mouthpiece. So let's talk about why you might want to upgrade. Okay, so the Yamaha 4C is a great mouthpiece. But here's the thing, you are restricted with the colors that you can get from it. You're restricted by the dynamics you can get. You're restricted when you're trying to play lots of different styles. So if you're just playing like in a concert band or maybe a community group or an ensemble, then it's going to be okay. But you still can't get a really rich classical sound. You can't get a really bright, funky sound. You can't get a great warm jazz sound. It's just kind of a meh, middle of the road type mouthpiece. And that's why you might want to look to upgrade. So let's start off by looking at the Jody Jazz HR Star, which is our first option that you might want to upgrade to. Now to the untrained eye, and I'm talking about myself here, when you look at these two mouthpieces side by side, the Yamaha 4C and the Jody Jazz HR Star, they kind of look the same shape inside, but they're made of different materials. This is plastic, this is hard rubber. But the internal dimensions are different because it plays very differently. So I'll bang it on my saxophone now and we'll have a listen, and I'll just tell you too that this mouthpiece is actually a bigger tip opening than the 4C. The 4C is a very middle of the road opening. My HR Star is actually a size 7. I'm going to use the same size reed, which is going to make it a bit hard to play, but let's hear how it sounds. What do you think about the sound of the HR Star? Can you hear a difference there? To me, it sounds quite a lot brighter, and that's one of the things I really love about it. So it's a much brighter mouthpiece. You can get more edgy, bright sounds out of this mouthpiece, which makes it great if you're playing in a louder environment. If you're playing, say, in a rock band, funk band, doing any sort of fusion-y type music, it'd be perfect for that. And actually, it's great value for money. This always surprises me, this mouthpiece, how it doesn't cost that much money, but it really performs well. Things I don't like about it though, maybe it's a little bit too bright sometimes. So if you're playing in a saxophone quartet or playing classical music, or if you're doing an orchestral gig, this probably wouldn't be the right choice for you. And maybe in some ways, the Yamaha 4C may be a better choice actually, in comparison to this at least. But we've still got some other mouthpieces to check out today. What do you think about this though? Let me know in a comment down below if you like the sound of the Jody Jazz HR Star. The second mouthpiece I wanted to compare it to is the Meyer 5M. Now this is a classic mouthpiece, and in fact legendary saxophone players like Cannibal Adderley and Sonny Stitt, they played on versions of this mouthpiece, and for many years this was kind of a standard mouthpiece option that people would upgrade to as a sort of intermediate / pro mouthpiece. I was really curious to get hold of one and actually start playing it over the last few weeks, because actually I'd never played on this mouthpiece before. I'll show you, one of the bonus mouthpieces I'm going to show you in a second is the mouthpiece that I did play for like 20 years instead of choosing the 5M. Why didn't I choose the Meyer 5? Because everybody else was playing it and I wanted to try something different. That's kind of just the way I am. I'm a bit difficult. So again, when you compare these two mouthpieces side by side, yeah, I mean, they look slightly different, but there's different things happening inside. So I think what we really need to do is have a listen to them to be able to hear how they sound. So the Meyer 5 is a medium chamber mouthpiece. It's got a smaller tip opening than the HR Star that I just played. And in fact, it's kind of more close in size to the 4C that I played at the start. So let's have a listen. So what do you think about the Meyer 5M? Let me know in a comment. Do you like this? I have to tell you, I really like this. I think this is a really interesting mouthpiece. I managed to find this online, by the way, for 122 US dollars and about 160 pounds, and much more expensive in the UK actually. Things I really love about this mouthpiece is the smaller chamber means that it's really easy to play. So I could get up to those altissimo notes pretty quickly. The more I was playing this mouthpiece, I think the more consistently I could get those notes as well. But I also could get a big range of sounds out of this. So in that little demo that I've been playing, there's some sort of classically kind of things, there's arpeggiated lines, there's some jazzy things, there's some more funky bluesy sort of lines, and I can get all of those different colors out of this mouthpiece. And just the fact that Sonny Stitt and Cannibal Adderley sound awesome on this mouthpiece is enough to inspire me to really want to dig into it. Isn't it amazing? By just spending less than $200, like way less, $122, you can get something that sounds like this. I really like it. But I want to show you a couple of other options that you might want to consider as well. So the first bonus option I want to show you is this old gnarly mouthpiece from my collection. This is a Selmer C Star. And actually I've had this mouthpiece like 35 years. Hence it looks a bit, goodness me. Check out the shape of these internally though. They're very, very different. And the reason for that is the Selmer C Star, and you can buy this now as a Selmer Soloist, is a classical mouthpiece. And that's why I have this mouthpiece, because I used to use it to do a lot of classical playing. It's a much smaller chamber. It's a nice, easy tip opening, and it's got a really lovely round sound. I'll tell you what, I'll pop it on. Same reed, same mouthpiece. Have a listen to how this sounds. So what do you think about the sound of the Selmer C Star? It's pretty different, isn't it? It's much darker. I love Paul Desmond's sound, and that always reminds me of a Paul Desmond sound. Now with this reed, by the way, the Leger signature, it's a brighter sound than you'd normally get with a cane reed. And if I was playing classical repertoire on this mouthpiece, I would not use that Leger reed. I would use a cane, like a standard Blue Box Van Doren reed, which I think gives it a much darker sound. The thing I love about it though is the smaller chamber means you can really control the sound and get lots of varieties out of it. You can get way up into the altissimo very, very easily. And with this setup, with this reed, I can get a kinda jazzier sound out of it. It's not crazy bright, and it's certainly not very loud, and that's a bit of a challenge if you're playing in a live setting. But for a recorded sound, I think it sounds really, really nice. But it's not got enough character for me if I was doing a lot of playing in, let's say, a jazz group or a fusion band or a rock group or playing some sort of commercial music. I'd feel really limited with this mouthpiece. So let me show you one other mouthpiece which you might like. Okay, this is the last mouthpiece I want to show you, and this is a Yanagisawa Metal. It's in a size 6. I love this mouthpiece, it's so versatile. And if we look at it inside compared to the Selmer C Star, again, it's different. Yeah, I know it's made of metal as opposed to hard rubber, but you got to remember that the material that the mouthpiece is made from isn't really as important as the internal shape. By the way, check out this video I did with Jody Espina from Jody Jazz, where he's explaining why that's the case and why the material doesn't really matter. It is a more aggressive shape inside though. It's got a baffle in here which makes the air go faster. Again, quite a small chamber, but I love this mouthpiece because it's so versatile. I'll pop it on, let's have a listen. Okay, what do you think about the sound of the Yanagisawa? Now, I'll be honest with you, because I'm using the same reed for every mouthpiece here today, this reed is too hard for me on this mouthpiece, and my lips were just about falling off by the end of playing that. But I like the sound of it. I like the versatility of it. And I can tell you, when I was using this mouthpiece for all those years, I was using it to play in like a concert band setting, in a show type setting, like where I'm playing in a West End show. I would use it in a pop or a fusion band type setting. I would use it playing in a big band. Yep, I even got away with playing it in a big band. I didn't use it in an orchestra. I think that'd be a stretch too far. But I could use it for just about every other setting, which is pretty cool. Personally, I kind of like to have one mouthpiece that does pretty much everything. And for me, this was the mouthpiece for a long time that I thought would really do that. Now the Yanagisawa is a little bit more money. I found it for about $320 US or about 231 pounds. Strangely, that one's cheaper in the UK and more expensive in America. But at the moment, currencies are all over the place, so who knows? So this is the more expensive option, but it's just interesting to hear it side by side with the other options we're testing today to see how the sounds compare. So which of these mouthpieces do you think is right for you? Would you stick with the Yamaha 4C? Would you upgrade to a Meyer? Or would you go for the Jody Jazz HR Star? Or maybe one of the extra mouthpieces that we looked at today, the Selmer C Star or the Yanagisawa Metal 6. Let me know in a comment down below. But I've got a little pro tip for you. This is really, really important. Whenever you're choosing a mouthpiece, I'm going to give you 2 bits of advice here actually. First of all, I would always suggest that you go for a smaller tip opening and a smaller mouthpiece in general than you think you want to go for. I see so many students make the mistake of getting the really big, bright mouthpiece with a super high baffle. They love it for about a month and then they absolutely hate it and it's unplayable. So you're better off to go with something a little bit more modest and then work on your own skills to be able to get the sound that you want out of it. Perfect case in point, Cannonball Adderley playing on a Meyer, sounding awesome. It's not a really crazy big mouthpiece with a high baffle or a super big size or anything. He's just making it work for him. Second pro tip is whenever you change a mouthpiece, you've got to be prepared to spend plenty of time getting used to it. For me, it can take a couple of months of regular practice, particularly working on things like long tones and slow melodies, to really dial in a new mouthpiece and to find my sound on it. So whichever mouthpiece you go for, make sure you put aside some time to really get used to it before you decide that it's not right for you. Get your muscles, your mouth, your embouchure, your sound used to that new mouthpiece, and then you'll be on a winner. Hey, there's lots more stuff on my channel that'll help you, but here's a couple of other videos that you could check out right now to help you understand a bit more about mouthpiece choices. I'll catch you next time.